So picture this. I'm getting arrested at my own housewarming party. No, really 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, I'm standing on my front lawn, hands cuffed behind my back while blue and red lights strobe across the whole neighborhood like it's the world's lamest rave. And who's screaming at the cops to arrest him? He's corrupting our community. The infamous Karen next door. Still cracks me up honestly because those 15 dangerous criminals she dialed 911 about, yeah, all off-duty cops, shoveling down my burgers and potato salad. There I was, cuffed and watching my HOA president absolutely melt down in front of half the police department. And all I could think was, lady, you have no idea what you just started. See, she thought she'd found her next victim, a new guy she could bully out of Willowbrook Estates. She had no clue I'd spent the last 2 years quietly collecting evidence about every shady thing she'd pulled: fraud, discrimination, straight-up theft. My party was supposed to be just a simple celebration. Instead, it became the night an entire community finally saw the scam for what it was. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to how this all kicked off. 3 months ago, I was just Garrett Holloway, 34, freshly divorced and desperate for a reset. 8 years as a firefighter paramedic, and I just made detective with the county police, felt like life was finally swinging back in my favor. The divorce wiped me out, but I scraped enough for a down payment on a small house in Willowbrook Estates. It wasn't fancy, just a middle-class 90s neighborhood with a couple hundred homes and an HOA that kept things tidy, nice common areas, a little lake, a playground. On paper, it looked like the kind of place you go to start over. My new spot was a basic 3-bedroom ranch on Maple Street. After 6 months cooped up in an apartment that smelled like cat pee and off-brand cigarettes, having my own garage felt like winning the lottery. That's where I met Diane Rothschild, someone who could make paradise feel like prison with just a smile. Diane was the HOA president, mid-50s, perfectly coiffed, always dressed like she was about to shoot an infomercial for high-end patio furniture. Law degree, she never used husband and insurance, lived on the corner lot with the extra garage and the I'm better than you landscaping. She'd held the HOA presidency for 3 terms, basically queen of the block. Moving day, I'm sweating buckets, diesel fumes mixing with the smell of fresh-cut grass, kids yelling, dogs barking, typical suburbia. Then out of nowhere, I hear the sharp click of high heels on asphalt. Diane approaches, clipboard, measuring tape, and the look of someone who's just discovered a turd on her shoe. "Excuse me," she says, voice so cold it could frost glass. "Are you the new owner?" She eyeballs my moving truck like it's leaking radioactive waste. "Your vehicle's in violation of several community standards." Pro tip: when someone busts out community standards in the first 5 minutes, run. For your own good. She documents everything: how far my truck sticks out, visible boxes, height, probably my shoe size for good measure, scribbles a citation before I've even lugged my couch through the door. "This isn't the kind of neighborhood where people just come and go," she says. I can feel my cop radar start buzzing at the way she drags out the word people. And just like that, before dinner, I'm officially cited for moving in. That night, there's a knock. It's Betty Bellamy, my 70-year-old neighbor. She brings cookies and a whispered warning. "Don't take it personal, honey," she says, eyeing Diane's house like it's the Death Star. She's got issues with folks who don't fit her idea of neighborhood quality. Turns out the Rodriguez family before me, she hounded them so hard they just packed up and left. Right then I realized this wasn't about trucks or boxes or grass length. This was about power. And some folks don't break as easy as others. Week 2, and Diane's turning my life into a low-budget spy movie. Every morning, click, 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 there she is, snapping photos of every car near my house. My firefighter buddy drops off tools, citation. Detective Santos swings by to grab case files, unauthorized overnight parking. Meanwhile, Tom down the street parks his landscaping trailer every weekend, but not a peep from Diane. Her pattern was clear: anyone who looked, sounded, or felt different was a problem. She was building a paper trail thicker than the Bible emails titled "Urgent Security Alert and Traffic Safety Concerns," every license plate, every timestamp, every breathless description of suspicious activity. Apparently being a paramedic was suspicious now. But if you're a cop, you pick up habits like doing background checks. So one night I'm poking around in public records and find out her husband Richard owns Rothschild Insurance Group, the very company holding the HOA's liability policy. And let me tell you, board members are supposed to disclose conflicts like that. But funny, in 3 years it never once appeared in any HOA newsletter. That same night, the streetlight outside my house starts sparking like a firework. I step out in my boxers to check on it, and bam, there's Diane folder thick enough to stop a bullet in her hands, ready to document my latest violation. She launches into the usual, "Your work associates disturb the peace." And all I can do is smile and say, I've been reading those covenants too. Fascinating stuff. Also been researching your husband's business. Her mask slips just for a second. That was the first crack. Next day, certified letter, emergency board meeting, pattern of violations, community safety concerns. That's when I knew this was war. Thursday, I get organized. Printed every email, every photo, every citation. Made charts comparing Diane's selective enforcement, Tom's trailer, 0 citations, Johnson's son rebuilding a motorcycle in plain sight. Nada, Mrs. Peterson's bridge club packs the cul-de-sac every week. Not a word, but heaven forbid paramedics visit me suddenly. It's DEFCON 1. Friday, the community center smells like old carpet and older grudges. Diane runs the meeting like she's auditioning for Law and Order, folder of accusations in hand. When it's my turn, I pull out my own evidence. Show the board photos, spreadsheets, documented patterns. For every concern Diane raised, I have 5 examples of selective enforcement and a little lesson on legal disclosure. The room goes silent. Janet, retired school teacher and board member, starts fact-checking with the precision of a SAT proctor. These dates are accurate. Yes, ma'am, all verified. Then the twist, the part that turns the whole story on its head. I lay out the conflict of interest, Diane's husband, the insurance contract, 3 years undisclosed. Mike Henderson, board president, suddenly looks like someone just told him the earth's flat. The board starts to realize Diane's not protecting the neighborhood, she's protecting her own interests. Diane, cornered, goes nuclear, accuses me of bringing dangerous elements into the neighborhood, implying that cops and paramedics are criminals. The ugly truth's out now, and everyone can see it. But that didn't stop Diane. Monday morning, she's back at it, measuring grass with a ruler, inspecting my mailbox paint color, crawling around my driveway. Citations pile up, grass too tall by 0.7 inches, mailbox paint deviation, trash cans visible for 12 minutes. Fines rack up like a slot machine on payday. And she doesn't stop at me. Diane starts knocking on every door, whispering rumors, spreading lies about my suspicious work schedule. Tells folks I'm probably dealing drugs or my friends are casing their homes. The rumor mill is in overdrive. Even my friendliest neighbors start avoiding me. But old Betty comes by, voice trembling, and says, "She's telling people your work schedule is suspicious. She's convinced half the street you're a drug dealer." That's when my detective switch flips. I check the real crime stats. For the last 2 years, break-ins have dropped 18% since I moved in. If anything, having a cop around made things safer. Sunday morning, Diana's masterpiece, $650 fine for unauthorized landscape modification. My crime. A $12 bag of decorative river rocks. And that right there was the moment something snapped. This was never about rocks or mailbox colors. This was about a woman who built her whole identity around controlling people, and I was the one thing she couldn't control. I started digging deeper. At the county recorder's office, buried under decades of legal dust, I find the original 1994 covenant's maximum penalty for covenant violations shall not exceed $25. Every single fine Diane's ever issued illegal. Her so-called enhanced enforcement rules. Never voted on by homeowners, never legal. The numbers don't lie. Over $21,000 stolen in 5 years, laundered through her husband's landscaping company. Time for the revolution. My first call is to Betty. She remembers everything and everyone. Next, Marcus Webb, the dad who got fined $400 because his kid drew flowers on the driveway. Then Tom Bradley, retired electrician and unofficial forensic accountant. By Thursday, we've got a Facebook group, evidence folders, timelines, and a community simmering with 5 years of pent-up rage. And then the cavalry, my buddies from the police department. When you promise free food to a bunch of off-duty cops, they show up, trust me. We planned the housewarming party of the decade, burgers, social media, Channel 7 News, even a live confrontation for good measure. Saturday morning, Diane tries one last power play, cease and desist for unauthorized gathering. But I know the law. I read the covenants. Ma'am, there's no rule against backyard barbecues, but feel free to call the police. Oh, and she does. Calls 911 on a party packed with cops. You can imagine how well that goes. By noon, my street looks like a block party sponsored by karma itself. The news van rolls up just as Diane marches across the street, intent on one last scene. But she walks right into a neighborhood united against her on live television, with evidence, witnesses, and one very eager reporter. Betty steps forward, poster board covered in citations and bank records. Marcus's little girl explains on camera why she likes sidewalk chalk. Tom produces the original covenants. The crowd swells, neighbors who've lived in fear for years, finally seeing their chance to fight back. Diane tries to play the victim, but it's too late. Even the board members can't look her in the eye. Jennifer Mills, the reporter, asks, "How do you respond to allegations of fraud?" Diane's last defense unravels. She tries to call 911 again in front of 6 police officers, all caught on camera. Officer Johnson just laughs. "Ma'am, you're reporting police corruption to the police about a barbecue at a cop's house." The crowd explodes, applause, laughter, tears. 5 years of silence breaks in a single afternoon. The legal wheels turn fast. Class action lawsuit, state attorney general, federal charges. Diane and her husband plead no contest. Restitution plus damages. Every neighbor gets their money back with interest. Rodriguez family finally able to buy a bigger home. And Betty, she's elected HOA president, unanimously cleans up the books, hosts real neighborhood parties. The playground gets new equipment. The scholarship fund helps kids chasing dreams in public service. As for me, turns out standing up to a bully makes you a lot of friends. My yard work's done by grateful neighbors. Dinner invites come faster than I can keep up, and Betty's niece keeps reminding me about that promised dinner. But the best moment. 3 months back, a young family moved into the Rodriguez's old house. Twin girls, chalk artists in the making. When they nervously asked about HOA rules, I handed them a copy of the real covenants, $25 max. And nobody's going to hassle your kids for being kids. Here's what I've learned. Bullies only win when good people stay quiet. Power is a funny thing. It only works if you believe in it. And sometimes justice really does taste like a backyard burger with neighbors you actually like. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line between enforcing rules and abusing power? What would you have done in my shoes? Drop your own HOA horror story in the comments, or just tell me where you're watching from. Because this isn't just about me. It's about every community that forgot who the real neighbors are. And if you got something out of this story, share it. There are plenty more tyrants out there who need a little taste of justice, and a lot more ordinary people who just need a reason to stand up.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.